them down there. They've come. Woohoo. All right, we're gonna give them snacks, and then we're gonna do some Q&A. So I know some of you have been asking questions. We are getting to your Q&A very, very soon here. I'm just gonna give them some kitty treats, take a short little break, and then we're gonna get down to business for you. So here we go. Look at them swarming. Oh my gosh. Oh, I gotta go to the right camera. Gotta go to the right camera. Where's the cat cam? There's the cat cam. All right, guys, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. It's a cat strike. Going on over here. Oh, I gotta get my camera set up. I gotta get my coffee cam set up. Oh. I was using my coffee cam for that interview type thing, and I gotta set it up so that it can look at my coffee, because that is a super, super important thing. I need everybody to monitor my coffee levels, because if it gets too low, bad things happen. All right. Camera is there. I need coffee now. All right. Now I gotta turn that on. Where's that guy? Properties. Deactivate. Activate. Hey, there we go. Hey, we're in business. Look at that. It's beautiful. All right. Okay, we are back. We are in business. We did the cat strike. That's done. Excellent. Did all the other previously unfulfilled, I don't know, things in the queue just get refunded? There were like 3 of them. Did they just get refunded? I'm asking my moderators. Why am I, where are my notifications going? Huh. My activity feed is not updating properly. I just saw a $10 tip come in. Thank you so much. My activity feed is not updating properly. I saw it on screen, but it's not showing up in my activity feed, which is not cool. Yeah, it's not. My activity stream is not working right now. Reload overlays. Oh, well, that's something different. Yeah, my activity feed. Oh, what a piece of junk. My activity feed is totally trashed right now. So somebody gave a $10 tip. I appreciate that. We're feeding kitties around here. It was like Loco cereal or something like that. My OBS is not working properly for me right now, so it's hard to tell. Appreciate it though. Drink my coffee faster. Just do the best I can. Oh, Kirby gave a $50 tip. Thank you, Kirby, so much. I appreciate that. You're awesome. Yeah, I want to be able to shout people out when they're generous and crap like that, but my OBS is failing me right now. What's the real reason we have a coffee cam? The real reason? Because sometimes I actually, like, you know, will use this camera and show you stuff. I'll do drawings or maps, or I'll be looking at a book or something, and then I'll put it right here. So it comes in handy to have something that looks down at my desk. Yeah, that's the real reason. But when I'm not doing that, guess what? We can all look at my coffee. All right, let's take a look at some of these questions we have coming in tonight. Woo! Oh. OBS needs some coffee. Yeah, OBS, yeah, needs something. I can't restart it either because the whole stream will go down. I can't do anything about it. It's just kind of like puking on me right now. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, wait, this is a big question. I have PCs that want to build with blacksmithing, leatherworking, tinkering, etc. Okay. No magic items, just to build something on their own. Artificers just wave their hands and magic, they build something. Not a fan. It's because artificers have magic and crap, yeah. But the DM's guide is like gold, everything is gold, and lots of time and magic. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. You need to have, if you're going to craft something, you need to have the materials for it, which costs gold, or you got to go out and spend time to gather the materials. And then once you have the materials, you need, if you know the skill, the craft, you need to spend time to create the thing. And so those are absolutely the ingredients for crafting something. Materials, which cost gold, or time to go get the materials, and then time to craft it. Those are literally what the resources would be if you were actually crafting something in real life. So that's why it makes sense. That's the way it should be. All right, rest of the question. That's not helpful. It's not helpful, but it's realistic. Those are literally what things should cost: gold for materials and time to craft it. That's literally what it should be. They want to forage for resources and then make items. Okay, it takes time. You want to forage for resources, that's fine. So as an adventurer, you can spend a week foraging for resources, leather and different things, which costs you 5 gold. You could spend your time as an adventurer foraging for those things, a week of time to get those things, fair, to avoid 5 gold pieces. Or you could go into one adventure, one mission, and spend under a day and get hundreds of gold pieces that you could then just go buy those materials for. But, you know, it's your character. If you want to forage for those things instead of going on an adventure and making tons of money that you could just buy them with, you're welcome to do that, but it will require time. So it's like a 1 week downtime if you want to create the thing, but if you also want to forage for the materials, okay, it's another week for you to go forage for those materials. So take 2 weeks of downtime to go forage for the materials, get the materials, and then to create the thing. There you go. And now, from a gameplay perspective, that might be interesting to them, right? One might question why an adventurer who has highly honed skills, delving into dungeons, defeating bad guys, casting magic, who can use weapons and sneakery and rogue skills, warlock with patrons. One might question why people of such high expertise would spend their time foraging for things. It's kind of like if let's just pretend that you have like a CEO of a company who's making like, you know, lots of money. Would that person take a week of time off to go out into the forest and go hunting and get leather and stuff so he can make some new pants for himself? Probably not, because he makes more at his day job by far and would rather just buy it. So one would question some of the role playing behind that, maybe, you know, but ultimately if a player is running their character, they're welcome to do that sort of thing if they want to. You know, that's why I said it could be fun from a player's perspective, from playing the game perspective, even though one might question the realistic nature of that sort of thing in game, because of the way the economy works and how lucrative adventuring typically is in the game. So anyway, I haven't gotten to your question yet. I'm just talking right now. Okay, so they want to forage for resources, make items. I don't want to be golden time, but that's literally what it really should be. I want it simple and not clutter inventory. Gold and time is simple, and it doesn't clutter inventory. I think you already have the answer to your question. Thoughts. I've given you a bunch of thoughts. So how do we do this? Gold and time. It's simple and it doesn't clutter inventory. The answer's already in the book, I feel like. It seems like, honestly, it seems like it's already simple and doesn't clutter things up. And yet it's not the answer you want. So it seems like what you're looking for is something that's complex, more complex, an additional rule system, you know, baked on top of what already exists there, which is going to add complexity to the game. And so then you have to beg your question, you know, anytime you have an additional rule that adds complexity to the game, it should increase the fun at least twice as much. Any type of rule or complexity should increase the fun twice over to even consider putting it in the game, in my opinion. So you'd need something that makes gathering resources really, really fun, or something, I guess. Any good rule sets, mechanics, or books you know of? Not for something like that, no, because that's not the part. It's like, what part of the game do folks value the most that brings the most fun and enjoyment to them, you know? So, and that's a question that just depends on your play group and depends on your players and depends on you. I personally would get zero enjoyment as a player or as a game master to have a rule set that literally dealt with gathering resources and having ingredients and different things and mechanics for crafting things. Like, that's not the game I want to play. Like, I play D&D because I like adventuring. I like the dungeon delving, the exploration, combats. I like talking with NPCs. Those are the elements of the game that I enjoy. I don't play the game for like a mini crafting system off on the side. So the question is really like, what part of the game do you and your players want to engage with and play with? If you want a mini crafting system, if that's what your players really enjoy and think would be lots of fun and stuff, well, that's cool. You know, then you need to find some sort of mini crafting system that you can introduce into your game. I don't know of any things like that because that's not a part of the game that I'm interested at all in, and so I just don't look for that sort of thing, nor do I homebrew and create stuff like that, because it's just not something that really interests me and the way I run games, nor probably would interest my players a whole lot, I would guess. Nobody's ever asked me about it, at least, you know. So I would not put anything complicated around that. If somebody wanted to spend, instead of just buying the resources for something, if they wanted to go gather the resources, I'd be like, okay, cool. What are you gonna gather? Oh, leather. Okay, sweet. So you gotta go kill some deer. Okay, got it. And then you gotta do some tanning and stuff. Okay, so you gotta go hunt the deer. Great, give me a survival check. Boom. Okay, you got yourself a deer. All right, sweet. Now you gotta do some tanning and stuff. You gotta like tan it and stuff. That's special ingredients requirements. Let's do some rolls. It's gonna take some time. I would do that stuff on the fly. I don't feel like you need like a specific system to bog that down a whole lot, unless that's what you guys all love and want to do in the game, and then you could look for a new system. But I don't have that. How do you deal with this at your table? I think I've addressed that. I've asked another forum on this, and the feedback felt mostly they're adventurers, not crafters. Tell them to roll a different character. I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. They're adventurers, not crafters. If you want to play a crafting game or a mini, so if you want to play a crafting game, D&D doesn't have the rule set. There are probably add-ons to it and mini crafting systems, so you could find a mini crafting system. But I don't have the answer to that because I don't play that game. Like that's like a totally different style of gameplay that I've just never done before, and am honestly not super interested in playing. So I don't really have a whole lot of advice for you. Sorry. I get through the whole question. I'm just like, I don't have any advice for you. It's life. I don't know everything. Sorry. Guys, like Luke, your answers suck. I know, it's not my fault. It was a long question. Sometimes I just look at a question and I'm just like, I don't know the answer to that. And I just don't ask and I don't go there. I didn't have a choice. Okay, cool. All right. Thanks, dude. You're still here. Yeah, I don't really have any advice for you. It's just a totally different style of game that I usually would play. And I'm not saying that's a wrong game to play. I'm not saying that you guys are wrong for wanting to play that game. I'm just saying it doesn't align with my own personal preferences. And so I just don't really have a whole lot of thoughts on it. Because I would just be like, yep, golden time, or roll some dice. You know what I mean? So it's just different from what I would do in my games as well, you know? Okay, so if I send a question right now, will I get on the sheet? You might, yeah. My moderators mark things in red and I read it anyway. Do you think you can counterspell an innate ability? Levitate, darkness, etc. No. No. Counterspell is literally for spells. Let's just take a look at D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond, let's go take a look at the counterspell. Let's go see what it says for counterspell. Game rules, spells. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Counter spell. A lot of times just reading the rules will help us to figure out how it is supposed to be used. It literally says you attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting a spell. They have to be casting a spell. So innate magical abilities may or may not actually be casting a spell. It's really going to matter on the description of the creature. So, wow, my cat really needs some attention right now. Hey, what are you doing up there? Squirty Pie has got the zoomies. She's freaking out on me. Wow. Just running around. Squirty, what are you doing? Jeez, calm down. She was like loud, man. What's a monster? Yes, did you guys hear her? She was so loud. What's a monster that has innate abilities? I want to look one up really quick. I don't know one off the top of my head. I'm thinking like a fairy or something, but I don't know exactly. Drow? Okay, cool. Let's look up a drow. Where am I in count? What is this garbage? I don't want that. I don't want this garbage. Where? Tools. Yeah, encounter builder. Yeah, okay. I must have clicked the wrong thing. Drow. Okay. Innate spellcasting. It can innately cast the following spells. Because it is casting spells, counterspell would work against that. Absolutely, that would work. So that would totally work. Because it literally says cast the following spells. So if it's innate spell casting and it's casting spells, it would work. But if it's not spell casting, it's not going to work. Does anybody else have something else that's an innate ability that doesn't say casting? Does Luke have the zoomies right now? I don't know. I'm not running around all over the place. Legendary actions? It just depends. Yeah, as long as it says casting. If it says cast, if it says you're casting a spell, then counterspell works. That's the way, that's the rule. Yeah, that's the rule. I think we're good on that. What do you tell your players about encounters? Presumably nothing. I mean, like, nothing. These monsters want to kill you. What are you going to do? Or they don't have to kill them, but, you know, there's some sort of conflict or situation. They got to overcome it. Let's read the rest of the question. I'm a new DM with a group of new players and not sure if I should be telling them hit points when they've never encountered before. No, never tell them hit points. I don't... We're talking about there's what characters know in game, and then the game mechanics. The players shouldn't really be privy to game mechanics at any point in time. It doesn't matter if they've fought goblins 100 times, you still don't tell them how many hit points a goblin has. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's not pertinent to their characters. It's not pertinent to their characters' decisions. Now, they might know as players and characters that, hey, goblins die after 1 hit. They might learn that, but they're never going to know that goblin has 9 hit points. They're never even going to know what hit points are in character. And so no, I don't reveal like the amounts of hit points and stuff like that, or like any of those game mechanic things. Those just are not topics of conversation for players usually. Now, there are some exceptions, like if a player is like, okay, what do I know about this creature? You know, and then I might tell them a little bit about what the creature, oh, the creature is resistant to acid and fire. You know, the creature, whatever, I might give them some information, but I don't give them to them in game mechanic terms necessarily. I give them to them in like common spoken English, you know. So sometimes they're the same. Sometimes game mechanic terms are the same as just normal spoken English, but hit points are 100% game mechanic term. So no, I don't tell them game mechanics, especially like hit points and stuff like that. How do you get players in your games? Two methods I've used with great success is I put posters up at game shops, advertising for the game. The second thing I've used to great success is posting on Reddit's LFG subreddit, and I can get people to play in games that way. We also have a Discord with a looking for group or looking for games channel where lots of people have gotten games as well. There's a link to my Discord right there in the chat. Thank you, moderators, for throwing that there. So that's how I get people to play in my games. I post that I'm looking for players, and then players are like, hey, hi, I want to play. And then we get people together and we play games. Where was that? Oh, there we go. Oh dear. Let's hit one of these things. When giving a character a favor as a reward, how do you judge how much they're willing to do for a favor? Just gave one out in game today, and I'm not sure yet. It's a gut check. It's literally a gut check. Like if you were serving a church in town and you helped heal some people and stuff like that, and you earned a favor from that church, well, then in the future, if you're like, hey, I need all of your, could I get all of your clergymen to come with us on a quest or something to help us complete a quest? They're going to be like, no, we don't really do that. But if you're like, hey, my buddy over here has mummy rot and he is slowly dying. Is there any chance you could cast like, you know, remove disease and remove curse on him or something? And then the priest might be like, hey, you know what? You helped us out back then. So yes, we're going to help you out. We can handle the remove disease part. Remove curse probably can't, but we can get part of it for you. So yes. See, that lies within the realm of reasonableness for a favor. You just got to use your reason. And you know what I mean? It's like a gut check. There's no rule I can give you, but whatever the players ask of for the favor, you just have, is it reasonable or not? Based upon what you did in service to them or how you helped them, is the favor you're asking reasonable or not? You know, it's like if a friend of mine, so let's pretend that I'm moving and a friend of mine helps me move my stuff from my house to somewhere else. That's a lot of work. It might take a day or two and it's a pain in the butt. So then I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm deeply appreciative of this. I'm gonna help you out in the future. Friend comes and says, hey, you have a very nice car. It's a 2019 Honda CRV. And could you give me your car? Ooh, you need to borrow it? No. I need you to just give me your car. Oh, remember that time I helped you move? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, could you give me your car? No, that's not reasonable, dude. Now, if you need a ride somewhere or something for a week or so because your car died on you and you need some time to buy a new one, or it's in the shop or something, I can probably help you out because we're cool. But you're not getting my car. So like, you just gotta use your brain. I think just be reasonable. You know what I mean? And it's hard because players sometimes aren't reasonable. It's not that they're not reasonable, it's that they like to do the big ask. It's like in their mind, they're just like, okay, let me figure this out. I'm gonna ask the dungeon master for that, but they're probably not gonna give me that. They shouldn't give me it. There's no way they should give it to me because I know that it's not reasonable, but I'm gonna ask them anyway because I know that it's really hard to say no to people. I know that people usually don't like saying no. And so I'm gonna ask anyway because they might feel pressure to say yes to me. So let's just see what happens. And then they come through with the big ask in the game and they know that you should say no to them, but they're hoping you'll say yes. And so that's when it's like, you gotta say no, this is not gonna work. Or you can do the classic no but, or yes but, or whatever they want to call it these days, you know. So yeah, you just got to make that judgment call in the moment. Is the way. No but? Yes, no but. Luke should write a psychology book. Dude, there's so much. Running a game, being a game master has so much to do with understanding people. It really does, you know, and if you can understand people and their thought processes and mentalities sometimes, then it really helps you and you know where people are coming from. It's like, oh, I know where you're coming from. You have this big request and I bet you think that I should say no too, but you're hoping that the pressure of everybody looking at me, you're hoping I'm going to feel pressured into saying yes. I know you are. I'm going to say no, buddy. Yeah. When running a one-shot, how do you keep the pace without diminishing player agency, especially when they're enjoying random hijinks? Yeah. I mean, you cut content, essentially. Like, you need to have a beginning and an end planned out for a one-shot. We're assuming a one-shot means you're going to run it in one game session, 4 hours, and that the game needs to start and end within those 4 hours. So the content in the middle is all optional. They have a beginning, and then you might have a little tiny thing that gets introduced here, and they might do something with it. And then if they go on like a random and they're just taking forever or whatever, then guess what? You're keeping an eye on the clock, and then you just pull stuff out. You pull stuff out so that they can eventually get their way to the final confrontation. It could be a boss fight or something, and then you run that. And so you have to have a flexible middle content, and you just pull stuff out if they're taking too long. And that's how you run that one shot, so that they can have a beginning, they can have agency and make choices in the middle, but they can get to that end and have that satisfying ending. That's the way to do that when you have a time crunch, and you have to keep an eye on the clock, and you have to manage the game with it. And if you do it well enough, the players won't feel like they're being pressured to go do a thing. However, you might literally just get to the point where you have to be like, hey guys, we have an hour left in this game, and you're literally still in the town talking to the shopkeeper. Like, is this really what you want to do for our one shot for the whole 4 hours? I mean, we can do this, but you're not really getting the full game experience if we keep on talking to the innkeeper for another hour. So you might get to the point where you put a little pressure on and you ask them, is this really what you guys want to do for the entire game? because this is a one shot. We're not going to continue this past tonight. Literally, tonight's it. And this happens a lot at gaming conventions too. Like my experience with running games in a condensed 4-hour slot where it has to begin and end is with gaming conventions. Like I don't have a choice. If my game does not end after 4 hours, my players are picking their stuff up and they're walking away. They're going to get food and then they're going to go to their next game. They're not going to sit here and wait for me, you know? So you might have to just have a heart to heart with them and be like, hey guys, do you guys want to go, or what are we doing here? So it might come to that. If you have planned an encounter that you thought was balanced and it is way too difficult for the PCs, what is the best way to balance on the fly? I can't fudge rolls as all rolls are done in public at my player's request. So you fiddle. Okay, so there's two things you could do. One, you don't need to change anything. Like, you could just leave that encounter exactly the way it is. It's too hard. Okay, that's life. I thought as a game master, I was balancing it properly to be of the appropriate challenge for your level. I came in too hot, and that encounter is way harder than I thought it was gonna be. Oh well, I'm not changing a darn thing. You guys figure it out. Now you don't tell your players that. This is what's going on in your brain. You're just like, it's hot. Okay, let's have fun with this. Let's see where this goes. This could be interesting. I had an encounter like that my game a few days ago. I had pulled some stuff out of Tome of Beasts that was nasty, and my players really had a fun fight on their hands. It was a really challenging encounter, but I was like, you know what, whatever, they're level 10, they can figure this out, and they did. And it was a hard encounter. It was really, really hard, but they did okay. So you don't have to change anything is the first thing. But if you do want to change things on the fly, there's nothing wrong with that either. Either approach is fine. More and more these days, I like to just leave it as it is and just see what my players do. But if you do want to change it, you fiddle with the things that they can't see. You fiddle with the hit points. You fiddle with the damage output. You fiddle with tactics and strategy. So if the enemies have been using very effective tactics so far in the battle, you have them have a brain fart. They take a round off or something. For instance, I had a battle once where I had Ogre Maggie, Ani, who were flying up above, dropping cones of cold on the players, and then I had a couple Remorazes at the same time. And it was way too hard. My players were gonna TPK probably in round 2. So I just had the monsters, the Oni, change their tactics a little tiny bit. One of the Oni spent his action on round 2 going invisible instead of dropping down some attacks. That gave them a little bit of a reprieve so that they could like collect themselves and not die quite so quick. So little tiny decision that the monster made to do something that was not optimal gave the players the opportunity to shift the tide of combat back in their favor. That was one of the things. It's been a while. There might have been other things going on. So you do things like that. The monsters their morale might break. You might have the players in an overwhelming encounter and people are fighting. The monsters are getting hurt as well, but the players are really getting hurt too. If you just have a couple monsters who are like, this is probably not our piece of what we want to do anymore, and 2 monsters just like they take off. Well, now 2 monsters just ran away, and the ones that are remaining are fighting the PCs. The PCs, the tide just shifted because 2 monsters were like, no, their morale's breaking essentially, and they decide to hightail it. And then the ones that are left might get mopped up or put things more in a level playing field for the players. So there's a variety of things you can do on the fly during a combat that has nothing to do with fudging dice rolls. Fudging dice rolls is the lazy way, the easy way of changing things on the fly. But there's a variety of other things you can do. Yeah. But it's easier not to change anything and just see what happens. especially with all of the crazy powerful player options that are out there now with Tasha's and stuff like that, you know. I tend to just be like, no, you guys figure it out. You guys go ahead and figure it out. I'm not changing anything today. Oh, the creature codex was their growing pains. Oh, did the creature codex come first? I wasn't aware of that. Oh, interesting. I mean, I have both of the Tome of Beasts. I have both Tome of Beasts and Tome of Beasts 2. I don't have the creature codex one. Somebody was telling me it was pretty cool, but dude, the Tome of Beasts are so big to begin with. I now have like 600 to 1,000 more monsters to use. I feel like that's gonna last me for a while. You're very welcome, Pet Creeper. Oh man, Mr. Crinkle, thank you for the 300-bit cheer. Has anybody else been cheering or tipping that I should shout out moderators, because my stupid OBS is like loading and doesn't want to tell me anything. We are trying, thank you for the link, Penguin Butt. We are trying to raise money for Capital Area Humane Society. This bar here denotes our progress. My goal is to get $500 for these folks to help little kitties and puppies. And we're at 315 right now, and I'm very, very appreciative of that. So Capital Area Humane Society is a humane society near where I live. And there's a link where you can tip, and there's also a link where you can learn more about what they do and stuff. So yeah, I personally give them a donation every month as part of like my giving that I do, you know, but I'm trying to get like a big chunk that we can send to them and be like, this is from the DM Layer community. Thank you for loving kitties and puppies and helping them, type of thing, you know. How do you deal with DMing anxiety? Starting a big Pathfinder campaign tomorrow, and I'm starting to feel jittery when I think about it. I have no idea, dude. The thing is, I don't get nervous for games. I think I've been nervous once or twice, and I'm not trying to like boast about this. You know, I've been nervous a couple times, and they were both at convention games. I was running games at conventions, and I'd never run at conventions before, so I was a little bit nervous. Mr. Gorks, thank you so much for the $10 tip. I appreciate that, dude. You're awesome. So I was a little bit nervous because I'd never run at convention games before, you know? So I was a little bit nervous, but after about 5 minutes into the beginning of it, it was like, jitters are gone. It's not a problem. So I've never really, see, being a dungeon master and DMing it's just never been like I don't know why to get nervous of. I don't know why to get nervous or anxious about it. Like, I'm well prepared. I know what I'm doing. I've planned things out in advance. If something comes up that I don't know what to do, I'm just going to figure it out on the fly. Worst case scenario, I'm going to tell my players, hey, you've stumped me. I need a 5-minute break. And that's happened once or twice where I've just been like, hey, guys, you're way out there right now. I need like 5 minutes to collect my thoughts and figure something out. And then like, okay, that's cool. We'll go eat some pizza or something, you know? So I think the first strategy that I would recommend, if you're dealing with anxiety before you're dungeon mastering, is to try to think about why you're feeling anxious. What is the cause of your anxiety? So anxiety is uncertainty about the future, about something that's going to happen in the future. You're not sure, like, how's this gonna go? What blah, blah, blah. So you need to think about, this is self-awareness. This is emotional intelligence. You need to understand what's causing you to feel that way. So it's going to involve some thinking. You might want to get a piece of paper, get a notebook, get a journal, write this stuff down, brain dump, vomit words, stream of consciousness on a piece of paper in a notebook. Try to figure out why you're feeling that way. What's making me anxious? And then you just start coming up with ideas. Ask yourself why. Why am I feeling anxious? Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to fail. Why am I afraid I'm going to fail? You know, what do I think I'm going to fail at? Oh, well, you know, and then you got, I can't guide you through that process, right? This is just, but you got to figure out, if you can figure out why, the root of, and there might be several of them, of why you feel anxious. If you can establish what they are, then you know why you're feeling anxious. Okay, great. We can do something with that. All right. One reason I feel anxious is I don't feel like I know the monsters well enough or something, and I just don't know what I'm gonna do in the combats. I don't know good tactics. Okay, great. You know that's a source of anxiety. Great. What can we do about that? Well, let's go read The Monsters Know What They're Doing, the blog post that can help us learn about monster tactics. Let's just read the monsters a little bit more thoroughly from the monster manual so I understand them better, so I feel more comfortable playing with them at the table. Okay, I'm anxious because I feel like there's pressure to use like special voices when I'm a dungeon master, but I don't like using special voices. Okay, great. Well, let's talk about that. You don't have to use special voices. There are lots of dungeon masters who don't do that sort of thing. So don't worry about it. Just like cross that off your list. You don't have to do that. Just take that away. And you go through that. The different things that you've identified that you feel anxious about, address each of them. Okay, I'm anxious about X. What could I do to make me feel less anxious about that? Well, and then you just try to address them one by one and prepare yourself perhaps so that you feel more prepared and ready for that. And honestly, sometimes simply the exercise of when you feel an emotion, identifying, embracing that emotion and thinking about it and being like, why am I feeling that way? I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling nervous. Why am I feeling that way? Oh, because of this, this, and this. Sometimes just thinking about it and going through that exercise is going to help you feel better. And then obviously you can take steps to address the different root causes as well. So that's probably the best advice I can give you. And so it's not like, there's not a blanket thing to do. It's basically based upon your own circumstances and your personal stuff, addressing it, brainstorming it, thinking about it, and working through it. So it's a thing you have to figure out in your own kind of, but that's kind of like a way to go about thinking about it maybe. So I don't know. That's like what I would do when I have negative emotions or even undesirable emotions or something, to think about it, accept it. Okay, this is how I'm feeling. Okay, why am I feeling this way? I'm angry today. Why am I angry today? Do I have a reason to be angry? I'm having a bad day today. I feel upset today. Why? Why am I feeling that way? What's going on right now in my life that I'm upset about? Everything's okay with my wife and me, my daughter and me. Everything's going okay at work. And why am I feeling upset today? Huh. I don't think I have a reason to feel upset today. Huh. Okay, maybe I shouldn't. Okay, well, just going through that exercise sometimes helps a lot. Can we save this answer for a video? I think this is just flat out good advice. My moderators have already bookmarked it. I'm actually going to change that bookmark though. I have a separate recording that the recording didn't actually start with the start of my live stream tonight. So there are different lives. It's actually about an hour off. Yeah. But anyway, thank you, moderators. I appreciate that. I'm hungry. I need food. All right. During session 0, I asked about topics to avoid and no one voiced anything, even when asked in private. Cool. During one session, I had a player start complaining about the fact that one of the themes was triggering them. Nasamu, thank you for the 2-month. Appreciate that. A prime or a tier 1 or something. I can't see because OBS hates me today, but I appreciate you. Thank you. They complained that one of the themes was triggering them. I stopped the session and I'm not sure what to do as it was the main homebrew story they had an issue with. Any advice? My Pet Creeper, are you still here? Can I ask what the theme was? What is the theme that was triggering them? I hate the word trigger. Oh my gosh. I hate that term. I really do. But what was the theme? I'm curious. Are you still here? Are you still here? Oh, we're just waiting for you. No, Luke, I left. You're making me feel uncomfortable now. You're putting me on the spot. Ah! What is the theme that would trigger someone? I don't know if we're gonna get an answer. Oh, here we go. The theme was suicide and loss of control. Okay, that's reasonable. That's totally reasonable. Yeah, especially if somebody had something with suicide and, you know, maybe someone close to them, suicide and stuff. I could get that. So probably I would just change it. Okay, they didn't commit suicide. They were murdered or something. And then try to leave the rest of the plot and stuff that you had designed, leave it as much unchanged as possible, and just change that aspect that was causing somebody an issue, you know, like, and I can understand that if you have, that's a heavy thing, you know, and that could cause somebody to feel upset about that. So yeah, I would just try to change it a little bit so that it didn't deal with that. Loss of control shouldn't be a triggering thing, you know. Suicide, I get, that's an emotional thing, right? But losing control and stuff, that shouldn't need any changes. Part of it, I feel like part of it is just using your brain too and being reasonable. Like, there are certain themes that maybe nobody said anything about it, but you know that this is a great thing. It's possible someone's not gonna like this, you know? So I'll introduce it, but there's a possibility that somebody might not like it, and when they don't, okay, understood, got it, we're gonna have to change some things here. There's some other themes where it's just like, you guys, I don't understand what's wrong with this theme. Like, okay, it's violence, you guys, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, but I don't know about the whole combat and hurting people thing. Okay, so let me get this straight. We're playing combat centric game that deals with swords and fireballs and stuff, and violence is a problem with you. Yeah, could we not have that in the game? No, this is the wrong game for you, dude. Yeah, you're gonna have to find a different game. Sorry, but this is a violence centric, combat centric game. That's the way it is. It's like playing Call of Duty and not liking firearms. If you're uncomfortable around firearms, you might not want to play Call of Duty. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So it depends on what it is, right? But there are some themes where it's like, yep, I got it. Okay, we'll just take that out of the game. I was playing Curse of Strahd the other day, and one of my players was going down a theme of something that I did not like, and I asked him to stop. What was it? I think he was talking about, what was he? Who was at my Curse of Strahd game? It was the last time we played, like a couple weeks ago or something, and one of the players mentioned a theme about 3 times in a row, and I was like, dude, please stop talking about that. I don't want to talk about that in the game. Does anybody remember what that was? Somebody in chat knows. People were there. But yeah, he mentioned something about 3 different times, and finally I thought he would just drop it, but he wasn't dropping it, and I was like, dude, please stop talking about that. It was the last Curse of Strahd game. I called the player out specifically about it. I was like, please stop talking about that. Sexual favors. Okay, yes, yep, yeah. He was talking about sexual favors or something, and I laughed it off a couple times. The 3rd time he mentioned it, I was like, okay, let's stop talking about that, because I'm not interested in that thing in my game, you know. So yeah. So there are some themes that are understandable, you know, that should just not be, or if somebody expresses concern or whatever, you just stop it, you know. There are other things where it's just like, dude, you're not being reasonable anymore, you know. But anyway, okay, I think I answered your question. Do you think that 1 hour is enough for one session? I mean, you got to use, if that's all you got, that's all you got. If not, what should be the minimum or general time for a session? I have played in a game that was only 1 hour long before, and what we inevitably found ourselves, this is what would happen. We would get together at the hour, we would settle down and get things out, and you're already 10 minutes in, and then you play a little bit, and time is over before you even know it. It's hard to even do, maybe if you have a combat, that combat's going to take up your entire game session. If you don't get into that combat until midway through, then you might end up in the game session mid-combat or something. We were ultimately finding with 1 hour game sessions that it just wasn't enough, like to really have a meaningful play period. So we put it up to 1.5 hours, and it definitely felt better. It definitely felt better. My preference is like 4 to 6 hours. 4 to 6 hours, you can get some really nice stuff going on. But if you guys are all down to business and playing for that 1 hour, if an hour is what you got, an hour is what you got. You know, you can't do anything about that. But probably longer is going to make for a more enjoyable game session, and you get some stuff actually done. So I don't know. I'm trying to convert TSR 2nd edition Ravenloft Carnival into 5e and 1 hour episodes to run for my kids. Any tips on how to, 1, get everything to 5e realistically, source material to loot from? Most of the things that I think the heaviest part of converting probably lies around monsters and encounter difficulties, because the monster challenge ratings and the encounter difficulties are going to be pretty different from one edition to the next. So I think that the bulk of your converting is going to be around that. The rest of the things can mostly just be run on the fly, like all of the the DCs for saving throws, the DCs for other things. Most of those things you can just go on the fly. If they're like a perception check to notice something, or a thieves tools check to disable a trap, those sorts of things, I wouldn't even bother converting them. I would just rule them on the fly. Oh, there's this trap. Okay, you want to disable it. Okay, give me a die roll. 17? Yeah, that's high enough. 12? No, that didn't work. So a lot of the conversion, a lot of the heavy math and stuff, you can just do on the fly. You don't need to do it up front. The stuff you probably do need to do up front are the monsters and the encounters, because those are a little bit different of a story. So I would focus on converting those things. Here, I would approach this in an iterative mindset also. If you're looking to run 1 hour episodes for your kids, I would ask yourself, what's my minimum viable product? What is the least amount of work that I can do up front to have a 1 hour episode that's fun for my kids? Let me try converting a little bit of stuff and then winging the rest of it and doing the rest of it on the fly. And let's see how that goes. It's 1 hour episode. It's a 1 hour game. What's the worst that's going to happen? And are your kids even going to notice? They probably won't. 20% of the effort, 80% of the results. So what's the least amount I can do to convert to have a fun game for my kids? And then do a little tiny bit. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, and you're not satisfied with it, the next time you're like, you know what? I think I need to convert this stuff too. Well, let's figure that out. The next time, the iterative, right? Iteratively, you keep adding on to it until you get to the right mix. All right, I have now converted these things, ran a great game. This is going very well. Okay, we're done. There's a whole bunch of other stuff I could convert, but no, we're not gonna do that because it's more work, right? Let's just do the minimum amount of work possible to get the maximum results, or to get the results you're looking for. And it's for your kids too. Remember who your audience is. You know, are they even gonna notice the difference between you spending 20 hours and you spending 2 hours? They probably won't notice the difference. So go for 2 hours, you know, but work at it iteratively and just kind of like feel it out as you go would be my advice. I'm having chicken tikka marsala for dinner. Keith, why would you tell me that? You're just trying to make me hungry. Moderators, can we ban people for making me hungry? Would that be like wrong to do that? I feel like that would be wrong. Well, if he sends me food, it's kind of wrong. It would probably be wrong. Like, Luke, there's a cold place in hell for people who do stuff like that. How could you even suggest something like that? I'm sorry. Coffee alert. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what we need to do? I have so many cats down here. They're all like off camera, lined up down here. We need to do our what do we call it? The cat trip. We need to do a cat trip. Did we get a cat trip redeemed? we're gonna do a cat trip. We probably had one. Okay, we're gonna do a cat trip, but first I'm gonna redeem. Somebody has make Luke talking character. BG Thelp. So BG Thelp, are you still here, BG Thelp? Which by the way is BG the Imp. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. I've always called you BG Thelp, and they're like, yo, Luke, my name is BG the Imp. Hello, get it right. They want the Barbarian to talk about Patreon tiers. You and your channel are an awesome resource. Awesome, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, we'll talk about the Patreon tiers. Hold on a second. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do a kitty strike, but first, I have a very special thing that I want to talk to you about. So you guys all know that I create Layer Magazine every month. I am the Barbarian, and I know that you all think that I'm brain dead, but the truth is that I am the writer. I am the genius behind it all. Yeah, I write Layer Magazine with a crayon, and I do all the pretty drawings in it. Yeah, with crayons. So, but the thing is here that my patrons get Layer Magazine every single month. It's one of their patron benefits. And so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna talk through the different tiers on my Patreon. So if you wanna get Layer Magazine too, we're gonna try to help you find the tier that's right for you. Yeah, we wanna make sure you get the right tier that's gonna help you get all the benefits that you want from Layer Magazine. Yeah, so we're gonna go over to my Patreon and we're gonna take a look at Layer Magazine. Only there's one little thing that I have to do. I'm gonna have to go over here. Oh, there we go. Oh, that looks very pretty. Okay, all right, everybody, let's go over to the website now. Okay, this is my Patreon right here. And you can see pretty pictures of Layer Magazine. So basically, when you become a patron, you get Layer Magazine. And this tier right here, this is the $5 hatchling dragon. You're just a little tiny one, and you just came out of an egg. And so you get tier 1. That's the beginning part of Layer Magazine. It includes some of the content, but not all of the content, because you're just a little tiny dragon. But when you become a $10 patron, you get bigger, and you become a bigger dragon, you see, and then you get tiers 1 and 2, and you get bonus content. You get like really cool bonus content too, and then you get a 5% discount on the DM Layer store. You get more stuff. It's written right here. You can read it top to bottom, left to right. And then at the $15 tier, I clicked the button. I clicked the wrong button. Oh dear, that was scary. Don't let me click that button again. It took me to a bad place. All right, and then if you become a $15 patron, you get a big head. It's huge. See that? And I bet you can breathe fire too, but we're gonna get to that in a moment. And then you get tiers 1, 2, and 3 of Layer Magazine. That's the entire magazine. It's like 50 pages of Dungeon Master resources, adventures, and maps for virtual tabletop use. It's a very beautiful thing. And you get lots of other cool stuff too. It's all written on the page here. It's readable. It's English too. Yeah, that's the language. And then yeah, there's a bunch of different cool stuff. $25, and then you can play in games with me and stuff. It's all sold out. I'm sorry, because people like to play games with the Barbarian. But yeah, that's see the fire? Do you see the fire? This is the fire, guys. You can breathe fire. Yeah, if you become a patron, you can breathe fire. Yeah, so that's the way Layer Magazine Patreon tiers work, everybody. I hope that was informative for everybody. Now we're going to do the cat trip. Yeah. Okay. So basically what we do for the cat trip, I have legally addictive substances in my basement here. This is one of them. This is called cat crack. Yeah. It's 100% cat crack. It's good. And then I'm going to give it to my kitty cats because they are addicted to it, and I'm a bad person. So I'm going to enable them. Yeah. So we're going to get their toys now. we have the banana, and we have to find the happy carrot now. I don't know where the carrot. I found it. Okay, I have the happy carrot. Now we have the banana and we have the happy carrot. And so now we are going to apply the legally addictive substance, cat crack, to the banana and the happy carrot. Yeah, it's gonna be very nice. Here we go. So here's the happy carrot. You can see the liberal application of the cat crack to the happy carrot. We're putting it right in his mouth. Yeah. Now we're gonna give it to the kitties. So I'm gonna change the camera now. And now we're gonna give this to the kitties. They're gonna be very, very happy. That. Okay, now we're gonna give it to them on the banana too. Yeah. And there's the banana. There's the banana. The banana. There's the banana. Okay, now I have this stuff all over my desk. That's very concerning. Oh, it's getting spicy. It's getting spicy over there. Okay, I'm gonna go get more coffee now. I will be back, ladies and gentlemen. You enjoy the kitties.
Ella sabe que con quien está hablando tú me conoces más. No juegues, no. Ella sabe que yo no estoy jugando, que quiero algo más, no solo sexo. ¿Cómo que no fue? Si yo recuerdo que fue ayer. Un par de tragos después pa'l cuarto, lo hicimos hasta el amanecer. ¿Cómo que no fue? Sé que te acuerdas lo que te dije, que de tus besos tenía sed, que yo soy serio, no pa' vaciles. No. Oye, perdona por todos los males, es que tu no estaba en mis cabales. Esa es la excusa que dio, pero perdona, hermosa, no sé si me vale. Ya me di cuenta el dolor de cabeza, que pa' mí eres cuando tú empiezas de un lado a otro, como una pieza que se perdió en un rompecabezas. Tell me, porque yo no entiendo. Silly, es como me siento, que yo soy un bobo.
What's going on, mommy? What's going on? Did you take your stuff? What you doing, mommy? What's going on, mommy?
They took her stuff away. Little girl.
What's going on, little girl?
Oh, this is awesome. 𝐑𝐄𝐒, did you just buy the DM guide? Are you looking to get into dungeon mastering? She's zoomed away from it. My cats are going nuts. They've been behaved? They have? Oh, cool. So you're just gonna start DMing and stuff? That's awesome, dude. You were in the right place, man. Join our Discord too, because there's tons of awesome people over there that can help you. Like if you have questions and stuff like that. Yeah. The Discord's the place to be, dude. Oster, what's up, man? You're half back with your coffee. Oh, well, you need that coffee, dude. Okay, sweet, man. That's awesome. Orange is like rubbing his head with the banana. the little girl is just eating the catnip. She's like, I'm gonna just lick the carpet. I like the carpet, daddy. I lick the carpet, daddy. Oh my word, these guys are crazy. All right, where's my redemptions? Where's the redemptions thing? Ooh. Can Gary the intern sell me a stack of blueberry pancakes? That's funny. I'm old school paper and want to join the technology world. Oh, okay, cool. Dude, I love physical books, dude. Like, I have all the books on D&D Beyond. I don't care. I'm gonna buy the physical books. I want the book in my hand if I'm gonna read it. All right. Let's hit a question really quick, and then we'll do some fun stuff. How do you handle spellcasting components that have a gold cost associated with them? I attempted with my groups to have them purchase components for things like raise dead, etc. that are more expensive, but nobody seems to want to keep track of that. Okay, fine. Don't keep track of it. Don't keep track of it. That's cool. This is the rule, ladies and gentlemen. If a spell has a gold piece associated with it, like raise dead or revivify or something, the rule is you need to purchase those components in a town or wherever, and you need to keep track of them. And if you don't have the components, you can't cast the spell. That is the rule. And your players are like, well, I don't like that. I'm not going to keep track of it. Okay, that's fine. Then you can't cast the spell, dude. Like, this is the way it's going to work. So I do the exact same thing. I literally do the same thing. If a spell has a gold piece price associated with it, my players need to... Hey! Who just did bad stuff? Who was bad? Was Squeaky bad? I bet it was Squeaky. But Luke, you're so mean. I know. This is the rule. Buy the component, keep track of it. That's the way it works. Why? Because it's a check and balance system. Having to buy those components in advance and keeping track of them is a check on those spells that are pretty powerful. Otherwise, if you can just say, well, you know what? I know that Revivify costs the 300 gold pieces and diamonds, but I have the gold on me, so let's just say that I have the diamond dust. No, it's a check and balance. There are some more powerful things like Clone, for instance, that I think it's like a 10,000 gold piece statue that you need to have made to look like you or something. Like, you need to have that done. That is a check and balance. It's part of the system that makes those spells more balanced and not like really powerful. And we went through this in my groups probably a couple years ago when some of my groups started to get into the higher levels, and we were like, wow, I didn't use to make them buy those components ahead of time. I would just say, hey, if you've got the gold pieces on you, no problem. But when we started to get into the more powerful spells, we realized that, wow, not having to buy the components and just assuming that you have them really makes those abilities or spells really powerful, more powerful than they otherwise would be. So buying the components in advance and having them on hand is part of the checks and balances of the system. So I require my players to do it. Now, if your players are like, I don't want to do it, dude, this is not negotiable. This is part of the game. This is part of the rules that I'm playing. Now, I don't go out of my way to make my games unenjoyable for my players. I don't like logistical stuff. I don't make them keep track of how much weight they're carrying. I just don't care about those things. This is one thing, though, that I will require from you because it's part of game balance, and that's an important thing to me. And so I will require this of you. Now, you can carry like 20,000 suits of plate armor. I'm not gonna yell at you. Actually, I probably would, but I'm not gonna yell at you. But if you don't have the proper 300 gold pieces worth of diamond dust for your Revivify spell, then Jim Bob is gonna stay dead. And that's just the way we're gonna run with this game. So if you don't wanna keep track of that stuff, that's fine. You don't have to. but you're not going to be able to cast your spells either. There's always part of game mastering is talking to your kit players, negotiating, deciding how everybody wants to play the game. And there's a conversation that happens. There's another part of game mastering where it's like, no, this is what I've decided. As the game master who is running the game, we've talked about a lot of things. I've tried to design a game and run a game that is enjoyable for everybody, but I still have the right to reserve some things where I decide how it's going to be. And that's just the way it's going to be. I try to be reasonable. I try not to be a jerk about it. I try to incorporate your guys' preferences and thoughts on the decisions I make. There's also going to be a segment of things that I make the call on, and I understand that it might not be popular. I understand that you guys might not all like it, but I have decided that this is the way we're going to do it, and we're going to do it this way. I have that prerogative and that right as the game master to make those decisions. So generally work with folks and you want to not be a jerk about things, but you have the right to say, no, this is the way we're going to do these things, right? And if you have players who are like, well, this is horse crap, I don't want to do it, I'm leaving the game. If you got players who are going to like ditch your game because you're making them buy components for spells in advance, just wave goodbye. They probably have other reasons you don't want them in your game too, would be my guess. Because that is a super inconsequential thing to leave a game over. They probably got some other baggage that you're better off without, would be my thoughts. So I don't know. Here's the door, sir. If that's the game breaker for them, if that is the thing that they're like, no, you've gone too far, Mr. Dungeon Master. It was one thing when you required us to keep track of our hit points. We didn't want to do it. We didn't want to keep track of our hit points, but we did it. However, now, and also keeping track of our gold, we didn't want to keep track of our gold. Keeping track of all those pesky copper pieces, we didn't want to keep track of all of that. But we did it. And we didn't want to keep track of the charges remaining on our magic weapons and our magic items. We didn't want to keep track of all that stuff. But we did it because you requested that we do it. And you said that it was part of the game to keep track of those things. Okay. But this, sir, is the last straw. You are now requiring me to keep track of spell components that have a gold piece cost associated with them for rare and powerful spells. That is the last straw, sir. I refuse to keep track of those things. I will not do it. I am leaving your game. You are unreasonable. How dare you have rules that I have to follow? Thank you. Goodbye, sir. And they walk. And probably everybody at that game table is happier for it. And then you should probably just pull a microphone out of your Dungeon Master bag and drop it on the floor. Just to rub it in. Does this class as a rant? It turned into one or something. Yeah. I had a player once who he would keep track of the loot list, and I would be like 1,500 copper pieces, and he would just be like, he wouldn't write anything down. Yeah, I leave those behind. Keep going. 692 silver pieces. Yeah, I'm leaving those behind too. He wouldn't even write down the copper pieces and stuff. And then I think later on in the game, I specifically had something come up where they needed copper pieces. Because I'm mean like that. Yeah. What I do for D&D Beyond with spell components is I just make a custom item. Any spell that I cast as a caster when I'm a player, I'll make a custom item, and it just keeps track of inventory for spell components.
What are you doing, mommy? What are you doing?
Little girl and mommy are now come for the catnip. The other cats have left. Oh, here comes Squeaky again. Squeaky's coming back. He's like, I'm gonna be a jerk. I yelled at them. They were fighting, and I yelled at them. Did we determine who was the one being mean? I missed it. Who was being mean when I yelled at them? Somebody was attacking somebody else. Did anybody catch that? I know we had the small camera up, so I don't know if anybody caught that. Squeaky? Yeah, figures. Squeaky, he's such a jerk. He's such a jerk. Oh, Ambers, what's going on? How you doing? You know what? I didn't make a little thing for LayerCon, did I? We should make that. We need to make that. Is that the one? Moderators, is that the command that you guys didn't have? The command for LayerCon? Did you not have that one? There was like a chat command that you didn't have. And I think it was LayerCon, right? You don't have one for LayerCon. Okay, cool. Let's make that right now. We're gonna go over and make that together. Because I keep forgetting and I have time constraints. All right, so we need to add a new can. We're gonna add a new command. It is called LayerCon. We're just gonna make this together, ladies and gentlemen. Moderators can do it. Advanced settings. We need to do a global cooldown of probably about 15 seconds. All right, and let's look up LayerCon. I wonder if Google has indexed LayerCon yet. It has. Look at that. Google has already indexed LayerCon. If you type in LayerCon on Google, there I am. There I am. Let's just go to this really quick. We need the URL. We need the URL so that we can put this into Stream Elements right here. What should this say? What should it say? What's LayerCon? Zach, whatever, dude. You're coming. Don't give me that. Come hang out with Luke and the crew at LayerCon 2021. Eee. More info here. How's that sound? Is that pretty good? Ambers, you got your premium ticket? Awesome. Zach, you're coming, right? Quasums, Zach, you're coming, right? I swear I saw something. I thought I saw you bought a ticket or something. I can't remember exactly. Oh, you already bought plane tickets and stuff? Oh, that's so awesome. Dude, I can't wait to see you in person, man. That's gonna be so great. Let's make this really quick. Activate command. There you go. Moderators, you want to try that? Try that command, see if it's working. It's just LayerCon. LayerCon. Hit that in the chat and see if it works for me, will you please? There we go. Sweet. Okay, cool. That's done. Yeah, Zach, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see you, dude. I saw when you bought the ticket to LayerCon, and I was like, oh yeah, Zach's gonna be there. Quasums, Zach is my editor for my Tuesday YouTube videos. He's the one that makes my beautiful face look so good. Yeah. Oh, Keith, you're gonna be there too? Awesome. That's awesome, dude. Oster, you're gonna be there, right? Wait, Oster, you're Owen. Are you Owen? Trying to like associate names and crap. I think you are. Yeah. Okay. Cool. You got to be there, dude. I know. Where'd you say you're from? You're from like Scotland or something. You gotta come over, dude. It's gonna be fun. He's like, Luke, that's a lot of money. I'm like, I know. I'm sorry. I'm mean. Okay. What am I doing now? Oh, we were gonna do something. I was gonna do a redemption. Let's find a redemption. Oh, the Gary the Intern one. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Can Gary the Intern sell me a stack of blueberry pancakes? Absolutely. I can have Gary the Intern sell you that. My pet creeper. Yeah.
Okay, everybody. I just want to let you know that we have a very special offer today. I have an entire stack of blueberry pancakes, and this is the only day that we're going to be offering this stack of blueberry pancakes. This is the tallest stack of pancakes you've ever seen before, and it has blueberries in it. Now, according to the Associate Handbook, when you are presented with the opportunity to purchase blueberries, you are not allowed to pass it up. And the penalty of that, of passing it up, is disciplinary action up to and including termination. So I strongly recommend that you buy that stack of blueberry pancakes. And if you don't, then you're going to have a little meeting with HR and me. Yeah.
There, I just threatened your job. Buy the pancakes or you're fired. Does corporate approve this offer?
I've consulted extensively with human resources and the legal department, and I am pleased to inform you that corporate has put its stack of approval on this blueberry pancake. Yeah, it's its stack of approval.
It's totally been approved. Totally been approved. The old man discussing conventions he went to back in the day. Let me tell you a thing or two about conventions back in the day. These days, the youngins are so concerned with their precious characters. They go to conventions, and if anybody dies, they're triggered and they freak out. Let me tell you, back in the day, I would walk 20 miles uphill through the snow to get to conventions. And when we got there, we had a stack of character sheets because we would accept and embrace the fact that we were going to die multiple times over and over and over again over the course of that weekend. We knew that Dungeons and Dragons was a combat-centric game where death was on the line, and we did not cry when our precious characters were murderized by the residing dungeon master. Instead, we took that character sheet, we tossed it aside, and we got a new one. And guess what? We knew that life would go on, and we'd all be just fine. And now I'm taking a phone call from my mom. It is from my wife. Let's see what my wife wants to tell me. Oh, she has now hung up on me. My wife called me and hung up. Oh, I have text messages. Let us see who is text messaging me. Oh, this is my girlfriend. I should delete that one. Maybe she butt dialed you. My wife's phone is a piece of crap. She has an iPhone 5, and I finally convinced her that she needs to get a new one. So she's been trying to get it to work, and she's calling me to see if it works, and it worked. Now is the appropriate time to test out your phone. Okay. Let's answer a question, shall we? Would you ever consider a mechanic for learning spells beyond the usual wizard class mechanic, such as allowing arcane tricksters, sorcerers, or other classes to learn spells either from other classes or learning through NPCs downtime? As long as it doesn't exceed the number of spells they know. Like the game mechanic of having a maximum amount of spells that sorcerers. All right, now my phone is now going on vibrate because I keep getting crap. This is annoying the crap out of me now. All right, now you're on vibrate. Goodbye. So as long as the number of spells known does not exceed the limit specified in the class, it doesn't really matter where they learn the spells from. When they gain a level and they're allowed to learn more spells, they could learn them from another character. They could learn them from an NPC. They could learn them from downtime. It doesn't really matter where it comes from. Like, that's just a flavor mechanic of how they learn that spell. but there is a limit to the number of spells known, and that is important. That is part of what defines that class and helps balance that class in relation to other classes such as wizards that can have as many spells as they want in their spell books. So that is important. I would not allow a change to that, because if you allow sorcerers and warlocks to know more spells, well, then that's a pretty big deal. And now the wizard's over here and he's like, one of my things as a wizard was that I didn't have a limit on that. Now you've just given these other classes the ability to have no limits, which just is essentially a nerf to me. So what are you going to do for me now to even things up? And so this is one of the things that you must consider when you are adjusting elements of a class or something over here. How does it affect other classes and other things? Because if you're giving this class here additional stuff they can do, well then, if it is essentially a nerf to other classes who can already do that, what are you going to do for them? Because that player's playing that wizard is probably not going to be happy when he finds out the sorcerer can now do the same things the wizard does, in addition to having meta magics and other things that sorcerers can do. So the idea of game balance is important. When you're adjusting one thing, how does it affect other things? And what do I have to do elsewhere to make those things fair and in line again? And for that reason, like, I tend to not toy with some of those things, because you have to, a little ripple thing here, a little toy here, you play with something here and it ripples across different parts of game design and the mechanics and stuff. And so I tend not to goof around with those things. But if we're talking about flavor, yeah, sure, let's do it. Are there any spells you would never have a bad guy use against the party? Like Modify Memory or Magic Jar type things, the really nasty spells. Generally speaking, the class of spells that I avoid using, I don't never use them, but I avoid using them, are the spells that take players out of the game. Any spell that essentially makes a player not be able to play the game and just sit there and become a listener instead of a participant, those are the spells I avoid. So things like Wall of Force, Banishment, Hold Person, but to a lesser extent because you can make a new saving throw each round. But things like Hold Person, things like Wall of Force, they might just sit there for a while and not be able to do anything, and there's not a whole lot they can do about it. Banishment, similar situation. So spells that take the players out of the game and make them spectators instead of participants, those are the spells I avoid using. I do use them from time to time, but I avoid them, generally speaking, because it's usually not fun to not be able to play the game. Oh, Oster, thank you for the $5 tip. I appreciate that, dude. We're raising some money for the Capital Area Humane Society. We're gonna give a $500 donation to help little kitties and puppies out. All tips will go for them. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right, we got that. Got it. My monitor keeps turning on and off. In a game, how would you handle a Tiefling Warlock PC who has Devil Sight as an Eldritch invocation and casts Darkness all the time? I don't handle it. It handles itself. Let me tell you why. It handles itself because this has happened. This has happened in at least one of my games for sure. My players were on a big kick. I had a couple players who figured out that I can get Devil Sight, I can cast Darkness, and then the enemies can't see me, but I can see them, and then I attack them in the darkness, and they're all excited about this. And we got one player who's like, woo! And he's spamming it, he's casting it, and he's just having a great old time. And you know what else is happening at that game table? The rest of the players are like this. Hey Beavis, do you know we can't see into your darkness? Hey, Beavis, do you know that I can't really fight in this combat? Hey, Beavis, the rest of the players are sitting here and they can't see. Did you think about that when you cast that spell? No, you didn't. So what I've found is that little combination usually sorts itself out because the other players are like complaining like, dude, you need to stop casting that spell. Like, it's okay if you cast it, but you need to do it at the appropriate times where it doesn't screw us over. And so it tends to self-regulate. That is what I've experienced at the very least. So I've never really had to do anything. Like, the other players are the ones that are like on top of that one player telling him to stop. That's what I found. It was like one of my games. It was my Sword Coast Guard game. I think it happened twice. There were two different players who kept who did that, and the other players were like, "Dude, stop it. That's ridiculous." Yeah, so it was great. The bad guy stands in the middle and casts Spirit Guardians. Oh yes, dude. Once my players started spamming Spirit Guardians, I just started creating a bunch of bad guys that had Spirit Guardians all the time too. It's like, okay, you want to use Spirit Guardians a lot? Me too. I'll do that as well. Welcome to this is what happens when there's a powerful spell in the game world. Everybody knows it's a powerful spell, including the bad guys, and they're going to use it all the time too. Estrogen, thank you for the $5 tip. I appreciate that. Raising monies for the little kitty cats. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, the puppies too, and dogs and stuff, but yeah. Everyone has a bow. Yes. Power Lex, what up, dude? How you doing? Well, that answers my question. What was your question? Oh, I feel Spirit Guardians. I found your question. I feel Spirit Guardians is a bit of an overpowered spell. Spirit Guardians is a crazy powerful spell. It absolutely is. It is a very good spell. Very, very good spell. I have a player who tries to avoid using it because he knows how powerful it is. But I'm not talking about Brotlord, by the way. He drops that all the time. I have a player, Kasim, in my Ancient Dragon campaign, and he knows it's a powerful spell. And he's told me before, Luke, I try to avoid using it because I know it's just really kind of cheesy and overpowered. But he still drops it from time to time, and I don't blame him because sometimes they get into nasty stuff. So what are the thoughts on Spirit Guardians? Yeah, it's very powerful. Like, pound for pound, very powerful. What are my thoughts on it? Yeah, that's my thoughts. Side note, I've had to move prestidigitation to a first level because the players abused it. Yeah. I have players that want to stretch what spells can do, and I just tell them no. But yeah, I have bad guys use Spirit Guardians a lot. Because, yes. I always feel like I forget to show my players some of the amazing scene setting art in the module I'm running. I'm probably worried about nothing, but how often do you turn to showing pictures of scenes? Almost never. I don't show my players pictures usually. I describe the things. I have probably a couple of times showed them a picture out of a module or something, or a book, to just kind of show them what it looks like. But most of the time I'm going to describe it, you know, just narratively or with my words or whatever. Especially for monsters, I almost never show my players photos of monsters anymore. I've totally gotten away from that. It helps avoid metagaming, honestly, because I have veteran players and they know a lot of this stuff. And so usually I just describe the monster, and they might still think they know what it is, but it makes it a little bit harder when they haven't actually seen the picture that they've seen a million times. Now, if you're talking about a scene, like a landscape or something, that's a different story. That's cool. You do it as often as you feel you want to. If you like doing that, just do it all the time. So just because I don't do something doesn't mean that you shouldn't or your game won't benefit from it. I just don't run a whole lot of modules either, so I don't have the benefit of that kind of thing. All right. Whew. I'm getting through the questions. I'm doing really good at answering the questions tonight. And then there was like 5 people who are like, Luke, you haven't answered my question yet. Why did my question not get answered? Come on. I don't use curse items very much. Most curse items are lame. Players won't use them. Once they find out it's cursed, they just remove curse and they throw it away. The best way to do curses in the game are to have special conditions, special things the players must do to remove the curse once it's been discovered. And you don't allow them to identify that it's cursed before they actually start using it. We have some curse items in one of our Lair magazine issues that use this mechanic, and that's the way to go. But every time, if you're going to introduce a curse item, I feel like it has to be something special, and there needs to be a quest associated with it to remove the curse. You have to make it a thing, you know, make it a special plot item in the game is the way to do a curse item. I don't really do that a whole lot. Anytime I've just nonchalantly introduced a curse item without really planning anything around it, my players will just put it on, find out it's cursed, and they'll get it off and they'll throw it away. And so it's usually just kind of like more of like a speed bump and a why did we do this sort of thing, as opposed to having it be something meaningful in the game. So if you're going to use curse items, make it meaningful, have some plot and story around it, have there be a way that maybe an adventure they have to go on to actually remove the curse, find a special ingredient, some sort of ritual, something special that gets the curse off from you. That's the way we did it in Lair magazine, and that's the best way to do it, because otherwise curse items are just stupid, usually. Okay, this looks like a spicy one. I have a player who constantly argues with me about using homebrew or if Unearthed Arcana is official. Okay, let me calm down. I'm getting sick of it, but don't want them to understand. I'm getting sick of it, but don't want them to understand where I'm coming without being rude. So you do want them to understand where you're coming from, and you don't want to be rude, I'm assuming. Do you have any ideas on what to do? Okay, well, I'm gonna help you out here. I feel for you, and I'm gonna try to remain calm as I help you out here. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go 5e Unearthed Arcana. We're gonna go over here. I'm gonna help you look at one of your problem arguments right off the bat. Unearthed Arcana. Let's find one of these things. Draconic options. We're going to look at one of these Unearthed Arcana. And so this is one of the Unearthed Arcanas. Let's just read what this says right here. This playtest document. Oh, playtest. Okay. This is playtest material. Unearthed Arcana is already helping us. It's presented for playtesting and to spark your imagination. These game mechanics are in draft form, usable but not refined by full game design and editing. Wait, what does this say? Oh, they aren't officially part of the game. Okay, so back to the first part of your question. Your players arguing whether they're an official part of the game or not. Literally, every single Unearthed Arcana has this disclaimer in it, and it literally says they aren't officially part of the game. So the next time your player wants to get all like uppity with you and argue about Unearthed Arcana being officially part of the game, just pull out an Unearthed Arcana or several and show them this. You know what? Get yourself a highlighter and highlight that part right there on about 10 different issues of Unearthed Arcana. Lay them across the game table, move the miniatures aside, and be like, I want you to read this on every single one of them. Take your time. Take your time. I've done you the courtesy of highlighting them for you. Okay, you've read them? Okay, excellent. Now, any questions? Excellent. Okay, so no questions. Spectacular. I'm glad we have no questions on that. we have established that Unearthed Arcana is not part of the game. It's not an official part of the game. What does that mean? Well, that means that I, as the game master, have the right to determine whether we use it or not. Thank you. Okay, now let's move on to the next point here. Okay, so the next part of your question is, they're constantly arguing with you about using homebrew. Okay, so, well, first of all, let's just, you know, there was a Dungeon Master guide once upon a time that literally says that the game master is the master of the rules. The game master can decide what the rules are. The game master can decide what to allow in the game and what to not allow in the game. That is the game master's prerogative for their game. So you want to have these discussions about allowing homebrew or not allowing homebrew, about allowing Unearthed Arcana, whether it's official or not, and not allowing it or allowing it. You want to have all of these arguments and discussions. The fact of the matter is that I am the game master. I have the right to allow certain material in the game and the right to not allow it. And that's really all there is to it. So I will look at your homebrew. I will look at the Unearthed Arcana. I will review it, and I will decide whether I feel like it should be in the game or not. I will decide whether that homebrew you found on Reddit is crazy overpowered and should or should not be allowed in the game. I will give those things the benefit of the doubt. I will review them, and I will determine whether they have a place in our game or not. But at the end of the day, it is my prerogative to allow or not allow those things. And that is the way it is. I'm the game master, I'm running the game. I have that right. So now, if you don't like that and you think that I'm not being fair and allowing all of these things, then you don't have to be a player in my game. I accept that not everybody will see eye to eye. I accept that I am perhaps not running the game that you want to play in. I accept that you might just be a player who wants to use all of the homebrew and Unearthed Arcana stuff because either you find it interesting and fun, or because you're a power gamer who wants to use the homebrew stuff because you know that it's way powerful, way too powerful, and you want to get it in the game because that's your thing and you just want to do that. But you know what? We need to accept that perhaps our playstyles are not compatible. Maybe this isn't the game for you if you really want to do all of these homebrew Unearthed Arcana, and it's my right to say no. If that's the game breaker for you, well, then maybe this isn't the game for you. You know, like, I don't know what to tell you, but we keep having these arguments over and over and over again. And I'm telling you, no, like, if I review it and tell you no, you need to accept that and move on with your life and play the game and stuff. But if you can't accept it, then I'm tired of having these arguments and conversations with you. This might not be the game for you, dude. You need to accept that I'm the game master and I can make these rulings. That's part of my role as the game master. The game master is not just another player, yo. I have a special role with special responsibilities and special prerogatives, and this is one of them. So that's the way it is, dude. So in that conversation, there is a time and a place for having a simple conversation about things where you're discussing things. But you're gonna get that feeling when you've had that conversation, when you've tried to be understanding, you've tried to explain to them how things are, tried to explain to them your point of view, and they keep pushing back and they just will not accept the fact that it's your right as the game master to make those calls. There's gonna be a point in time when you've tried to be reasonable, you've tried to be understanding, you've tried to explain things, you've tried to be courteous, you've done all of those things, and it'll become clear to you at some point the player is just not going to accept it and is just gonna keep on arguing and arguing with you. When you get to that point, it's time to put the foot down. It's time to just tell them straight, this is the way it is. Either you accept it and stop arguing with me all of the time, or you walk. Eventually, you might get to that point, and you might have to just draw that line, and then be prepared to execute on that if you need to. So there are some players that are not going to let it go. They're going to argue and argue and argue with you. Now, you got two choices. When you run into a player like that, you can either give in to their pressure and then and never live it down, because what's going to happen once you give in once to their constant arguing and complaining, you have now trained a new pattern of behavior in that person. They now know that if I bug them enough, if I argue enough, if I complain enough, eventually my game master will cave in and give me what I'm arguing for. This is what children do. This is what children do when they're throwing temper tantrums. This is what children do when they're begging their mommy to buy X thing and they're doing their fake crying and they're just throwing a fit. If the mom gives in, that mother or that father is programming a behavior into that child that tells that child, and they learn that when I do X and throw a fit, I get Y. I just got to keep it up long enough until mommy or daddy gets exasperated and just gives me it to make me shut up. And that child has been trained to behave that way. Dungeon masters, game masters can train their players the same way. So you need to be like, if you have decided that this is not allowed, that you're not going to allow X thing in your game, and that person keeps on bugging you and complaining, when you give in and allow them that thing, don't think that it's going to stop there. It will not stop there. There'll be another homebrew thing that they'll want in the future. And if you don't think it's good for your game, guess what? They're going to keep bugging and complaining until you give in. And it will not get better. It will not get better. It will get worse and worse. So you need to make a decision on whether something is allowed or not, and stick to your guns and call it a day. And if the person won't accept that you have the right to run the game the way you want to run the game, then that person might not be a good fit for that game. And they might just need to find a different game and go bug the crap out of somebody else. So you might get to that point. So I don't know. There's a bunch of information there that might help you. PCs are not your kids. Do not be their... Yeah, players aren't your kids. Don't be their parent. If you find yourself there, let them go. Yes. I can't stand players who argue with me. I really can't. You can't address everything in session 0. Some things come up organically and you just don't know. And besides which, some people just don't care. They're like, I don't care that we talked about it. It's session 0. You're session 0. And they're just gonna argue anyway. They don't care. People don't care. People don't respect that stuff half the time, dude. Yeah, it's like if it comes up, you have to address it when it comes up. It's like, yeah, and everybody's gonna be like, how long is the list of items of all of the various sundries that we have to address at this fabled session 0? You know, there's invariably, you can't address everything and something is gonna slip through and you're just like, well, I guess I didn't talk about this at session 0. Well, if you didn't talk about it at session 0, then it doesn't apply. No, we can always adjust things on the fly. So yeah, some things you're just not gonna be able to address everything in a session 0. If you even have a session 0, I think like 90% of groups probably never even have them. It's like, let's just play the game and use common sense. Session 0s are to like explain common sense to folks who lack it, or to explain social etiquette or something. I don't know. My therapist is also a dungeon master. Yes. I've had one session 0 before at a game for a campaign. It was quick and it mostly had to do with rolling the characters up. And I told all the players, I was like, yo guys, at the first session, our session 0, I'll explain a few things, we'll talk about a few things, and then we're gonna roll our characters together. Or you guys are gonna roll up your characters together. Guess what happened? Of the 5 players, 4 of them already had their characters rolled up beforehand. And I'm like, guys, and 1 person didn't. And I was like, well, guess what, guys? Guess what? You're all gonna sit here for the next hour and a half and kind of do nothing because I told you guys we were gonna make our characters in the game. 4 of you didn't you made them already, and 1 person didn't. So we're now gonna wait for this person. No pressure on him because he did what we kind of asked for. And you all already made your characters, so just kind of just chill out and hang for a while he makes his character. Yeah. There's nothing as uncommon as common sense. Ben Franklin said that, yeah. Yep. the fabled common sense. I mean, you definitely want to try to establish things up front as much as possible. It's going to save you trouble in the future. And a session 0 is a great time to do that. But when things come up organically that weren't addressed, there's nothing wrong with creating new frameworks by which everybody can enjoy the game. How do you run traps with overly cautious players? Poke every inch of a dungeon with a 10-foot pole. I will note I haven't incurred this. It started at our first session. Well, the way that I typically run traps is I don't have a ton of traps in my dungeons, first of all. So there's no reason to kind of poke everything. But players will still kind of check things really quick. Like my Curse of Strahd players will check everything a lot of times, you know, and you just let them do the checks before a door. You let them do the checks down the hallway. Usually if they're going down a hallway, I'll say like, hey, you can make one check and the hallway looks clear to you. So we're not gonna go down every 5 or 10 feet and poke things. Like make one check, the hallway is clear. Make one check, the room is clear. And so we streamline things by having a check for traps or whatever apply to an area as opposed to having it apply to a small square. If you as the game master can blow it up that way and say it applies to an area as opposed to a square, that right off the bat will streamline things right away. You can tell your players, look, there's no need for you to poke everything with the 10-foot pole. Listen, poking things with 10-foot pole is no longer a thing, all right? Like, tell me you're looking for traps. Make that perception check. I will tell you, we will assume that when you're looking for traps, it involves poking things, investigating, and stuff like that. We're gonna streamline this into making a roll, and then we can get things down to we're not taking forever. But you probably don't need to go there until you need to go there. Once you get players who are literally trying to do that sort of thing, that's probably when you're gonna have to be like, okay guys, let's do a thing here. Let me explain how we're gonna do this to make this more streamlined. So that's how I would probably advise approaching that, if it comes to that. But you don't need to, it's the case of don't make a rule to address a problem until something becomes a problem. You don't need to unnecessarily or without need burden your game down with a bunch of different rules and exceptions and different things until it becomes necessary to do so. And until then, just play the game with the rule set that you have and how things work, you know? TPK, woo! What level were they? How should I deal with players canceling at the last moment? Because I prepare a lot for sessions, but then they don't come, it's really exasperating. Okay, so if you have 5 players and one of them cancels at the last moment, guess what? We play the game. If you have 5 players and 2 of them cancel at the last moment, guess what? We play the game. If you got 5 players and 3 of them cancel, we're probably just gonna cancel the game. Next game session comes. We got 5 players. 3 of them cancel the game. That's weird. They canceled last game session, now they're canceling again. Huh. Okay, well I guess we're canceling the game. Next game session comes. We got 5 players. 2 of them cancel right before. Okay, now we got a pattern going on. What's going on here? Huh. Okay, I have players and they're constantly canceling and they can't make the game session. Okay, what's going on here? All right, let's think about this. We have there's 2 possible scenarios that are most likely. First scenario that's most likely. They don't want to be in this game anymore. They are doing the socially acceptable thing of instead of telling me they don't want to play in the game anymore, because that's an uncomfortable conversation, they're just canceling with an excuse of being busy or having X thing or whatever. They don't want to be in the game, and they're giving me a socially acceptable reason to not come to the game. And it's happening week after week after week. These players that keep on canceling, they don't want to be in the game. Okay, let's give them the out. You know, hey guys, I noticed that you're constantly canceling and stuff. You always are citing being busy and having these things come up. Well, that's fine. It sounds like you're probably too busy right now in your life to be part of this game. And so what I'd like to do is, you know, you guys, we're going to open up that slot. You don't need to be in this game anymore. I'm going to find other players who are more available to be in the game. And then you guys don't need to be in the game. I'm going to find some new people, and everybody I think is going to benefit from this. If your life gets less busy, then you let me know, and we'll see if when a slot opens, we can work you back in. So give them an out. Give them an out. They might not want to be in your game to begin with, so give them the out. Second scenario, and why they might not want to be in your game, the variety, there could be a multitude of different reasons why they don't want to be in your game. But give them the out, let them leave, find new players. Second scenario, that they are constantly canceling and can't be in your game. It's not that they don't want to be in your game, it's literally that they're too busy to be in your game. So you do the exact same thing you did before. You say, hey, it looks like you're too busy to be in the game right now. So how about you leave the game because you're just too busy to be a player. I'll open the slot up and I'll get more players. And then in the future, if you get less busy, you let me know. And when there's a slot open, we'll get you back in the game. Same exact thing. Now, the reason that the player keeps canceling is different in either scenario, but your actions are the same. Basically, if players repeatedly don't come to a game and are canceling constantly, you get them out of the game and you find new players to play in the game. So regardless of the reasons, your actions you take are kind of the same. Now, before you get to that step, you might talk to them and be like, hey, yo, what's going on? And they're probably going to tell you, hey, yo, I'm busy. Okay, have the conversation first. But more than likely, if they're constantly missing the game, you got one of those two things going on and you kind of know what you got to do. Get them out of the game because they're never there. And then you get new players to replace them so that you can keep playing the game without the interruptions. So you prepare a lot for the game sessions and it becomes exasperated when they keep canceling. So solve that problem, get the players out and get a new game and get new players. I will say this though, this is always worth bearing in mind as a game master. If you are constantly churning through players are coming in, they play a session or two, and then they get busy or they leave, and this is constantly happening with your games. There's a constant turnover, a constant churn of players. The problem might be you. You might need to look at improving your games and getting better at running your games, because if players are constantly leaving, it might be that your games aren't interesting or fun enough for them, and so they come in and they're like, and they bounce out. So it's always worth bearing in mind, you know, if we have constant turnover of players, then we probably need to up our skills as a game master so that they want to stay. Because what is being busy? Being busy is really just prioritizing other activities above any other activity. So if I love playing in a game, guess what? Do you know how much TV people watch every single week? It's like an average of like 4 to 6 hours a day of TV. People watch a crazy amount of TV. If somebody wants to be in your game, chances are they could probably prioritize that and figure out a way to make that happen. Not always, pretty good chances though of it. So being busy is just a question of prioritizing your time and what things take priority in your life and what things don't. You know, so sometimes stuff comes up, but a lot of times being busy is a polite excuse that people give you when they just don't want to be there. Not always, but sometimes. So it's worth bearing in mind. All right. And I'm speaking in generalities. I don't know you or your games. I'm just totally speaking in generalities. Oh, we're over time too. We're over time. Do I have any redemptions to wrap up? Oh, I'm probably not gonna do those things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna end it right there. We're gonna find somebody to raid. What is this? Owen says, Luke, because of the Gary pancake plug, I've made a magic item called Stack of Blueberry Pancakes. That's awesome. Yeah, let's raid somebody. BG Thump. I'm gonna have to call you BG Thump, even though I know it's not right. I have to do it now. Let's go to Twitch. Let's find somebody that we can raid on Twitch. We're gonna raid somebody, and then I'm going to bed because I've been up since 4 in the morning, and I am tired. Who are those guys? Who are those guys? I've raided them before. Oh, I can't even see them because ads. Twitch ads are so stupid. Good gravy. All right. Let's find somebody to raid here. We need to like raid somebody that doesn't have colored hair. It's like a rule on Twitch. Like if you want to be a streamer, you must dye your hair blue or pink or something. Oh, what's this? Oh, here's a game. Let's check out these guys. Tires don't fall. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna raid these fine folk. All right, let me get this set up. Raid channel. Tires don't fall. Tires don't fall. All right, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. When are you gonna dye your hair, Luke? I'm not dyeing my hair. All right, cool. Go jump in this raid. Go get in the raid. Go show them some love. Show them love. A channel point challenge to dye my hair? Oh, I don't think that's gonna happen. Okay, go raid, go raid, go. Bye everybody.